Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven today with another FGO scale figure review. Okay, but this one is a pretty unique one, a pretty unusual one. Hobby Beat, a non-scale Melusine stage 4 from FGO Phat Grand Order. Yeah, Melusine stage 4. And the price of this figure, depending on where you get it from, it is somewhere between 30 to 40 US dollars. 30 to 40 US dollars, yeah. So we are looking at bootleg scale figure pricing. So can you call this a bootleg? Now this one is quite a difficult one in the sense that there are no genuine figures or even genuine garage kits of Melusine stage 4 from anywhere in Japan. I actually went through the database in MFC, and even among garage kits, there are no stage 4 Melusine figures, right? And with this specific one over here, it is based on the official artwork. So can you actually call that a bootleg? I'm not too sure. This is not a cheap knockoff of an existing genuine garage kit or scale figure by a licensed figure company in Japan. It may be based on an official artwork, but there are no genuine versions of this figure, so technically this isn't a bootleg. This is more like a third-party unlicensed PVC figure instead of resin figure, which is not something new, of course. I have reviewed this figure of Kamisato Ayaka, which is almost exactly the same one as the one Apex made, but way cheaper because that is an unlicensed version which came out earlier. This figure of Melusine is pretty much in the same situation as that Kamisato Ayaka figure. Yeah, the video is right up here. A third party taking matters into their own hands. They took the official artwork as a reference, and then they make their own PVC figure at a very low cost. From the bottom of the base all the way to the top of this wing over here, 31 centimeters, but head height, not including these horns over here, head height 13 centimeters. So I compared this figure to my other FGO figures I have in my collection, the genuine ones. This is approximately 1/7 scale, which is good news because she will blend in just nicely together with other figures in your collection. I have no idea when this figure was released, but I know it was quite a while ago, at least a few months ago, but sometime within this year. As for the box of this figure, well, the box is borderline trash grade box. Yeah, I know I'm being too harsh for such a low cost figure, but this thing was it was falling apart when I received it and when I was unboxing it, as you saw in the starting part of this video. So the thing was falling apart. Yeah, understandable for a figure that is costing 30 or 40 bucks. I mean, Kamisato Ayaka, the unlicensed version, the box was just as bad, if not worse, right? So I'll give them a break with the box over here. And on top here, as you can see, it was written produced by the Hobby Beat. Should be produced by Hobby Beat. You don't need that "the" over there, grammar-wise. Okay. So this box, of course, it won't protect the figure. If the postman decides to smash your stuff, then yeah, this thing is going to end up broken most likely. That's one thing to bear in mind. Moving on to the main figure itself, now speaking of accuracy. Accuracy of the sculpting, the face, and everything else to compare it to the official artwork. Is it the same? Not really. I would say 70-75% of similarity over there. The face is slightly different, but not in a bad way, you see. She doesn't really look like 100% like Melusine stage 4. There is some resemblance, but there is also some difference over there. And whether you can accept it, that is totally up to you. It is subjective. To me, maybe I was able to forgive this figure for being slightly inaccurate to the artwork simply because of low price. If it was Amakuni or other brands who made this figure, that would be less forgivable, right? The face is just somehow a bit different, but not in a bad way. I think it looks quite nice nonetheless. So that is one thing to bear in mind in case you are the picky kind of person, then you might as well wait for the genuine figures. As for the rest of the figure, sculpting, right? This is where the low cost part of this figure is beginning to show why this thing is so cheap. I would summarize the quality of this figure, both the sculpting and the painting part, as bootleg quality. The quality is more or less very similar, or you can compare it to a price figure by any price figure brand out there. Yeah, the quality is around that level. So the first thing you notice is the mold lines. The wings are the most obvious over here. So you see along the edges of the wings over here, yeah, both wings, you can see that mold line in the middle, that straight line over there. This is something you'll see in some bootleg figures and pretty much almost every price figure, right? Because the molding process and the molds they use, the quality control, the tolerances are not as high. So this is to be expected. And of course, after the parts come out from the mold, they don't really put in effort in sanding and refining each part. So this figure is rough in a sense that some parts are not as well refined. For example, another part which is quite obvious is on the side of the head over here, on some hair strands. The surface finish is a bit rough, could use a bit of sanding and better primer layers, but they did not because this is a low-cost product. And there are several other parts on this figure that has this very similar rough finish, right? Not really a big deal breaker at this price point though. So this pair of wings over here took me quite a bit of effort to push it all the way in, but finally they fit in quite nicely. However, I can't say the same for the head. The head is a bit loose, like I couldn't press it all the way in somehow, and even if I do, it does become loose very quickly, right? Of course, you can display this figure completely nude. Remove the head to get rid of that cloth over there, and in the box you get an additional neck band, which is for the very purpose of concealing that seam line around her neck so that you can display the figure completely nude. Another example which I can give this figure is this cloth in front of here. I wouldn't call this a dress or a shirt, just a piece of cloth covering her front. Yeah, it is not exactly fitting her body perfectly. I have to press it in, you see, yeah, just for it to fit in. So this is the kind of quality control issues you can expect with lower cost figures. However, there is a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting this at all, and that is this figure of Melusine comes with, yeah, genitals. She comes with a really nice lolly carny over there. I know some of you love that. I was pleasantly surprised. I was quite happy about it. And of course, you were given a pantsu, an optional part in the box where I can cover it up, but I don't see why you should cover her up. I mean, in case a genuine figure brand makes a genuine version of the very same figure, the very same pose in the future, they are going to cover it up. And these third parties, they just let you have everything, the details, when it comes to the so-called important parts. So this is a nice touch. Moving on to the paint quality, painting of this figure, more bootleg or price figure level quality over here, but it is not as bad as I sound, because nowadays price figures are getting a lot better, and the same can be said for bootlegs out there. And this figure over here, the paintwork on the hair actually, it is quite decent, right? It is quite obvious that they are trying to cut down the number of parts they need to paint on this figure. You see the entire figure, the skin area, the arms, the torso, the body, the legs, they are color injected PVC. They are not even painted. The surface is shiny and smooth, even slightly glossy, which is one of the characteristics of PVC as a material that is not yet coated with a clear coating. There is no clear coating, no matte coating on this figure as far as I can tell, because the skin area is pretty much bootleg quality, like very glossy, very smooth. Normally it is matte finish, and sometimes it feels like real skin to the touch. That is what the genuine figure brands do. None of that over here, because that matte clear coating from Mr. Hobby, it is very expensive, right? One can will cost you like $15 or so. As for the cloth in front of her over here, yeah, it is semi-translucent because that is color injected material. It is not painting. The only parts that are painted are those dark purple color metallic parts, which you can see a lot of paint bleeding going on, paint bleeding into other parts, and this is what I mean by bootleg paint quality. The tail of this figure is also like just a flat coat of blue paint. You don't see any shading or grading on it. Now, the most interesting part of this figure has to be the wings, because you do get two pairs of wings over here. The first pair, which is on the figure, this is semi-translucent PVC. This is definitely PVC, color injected PVC. And then, yeah, there are some decals applied on the front and the back, which I like the design a lot on this one. And there is an optional extra pair of wings over here. This is a lot harder. This feels like ABS. This is not PVC, I think. I'm not too sure. Could be transparent PVC, right? But this is a very nice pair of additional wings, and they actually look great on this figure. Just that I prefer the decals over here on this wing, like the figure appears a bit more detailed, so this is my choice to go for if I were to display this figure. But this is a really nice bonus for a figure that cost under $40 nonetheless. And lastly, regarding the base of this figure, I'm not sure what I'm looking at, but from the looks of it, this might be the Holy Grail mat. Yeah, the one we see Mato Sakura buff with Dark Sakura. I believe it is the same thing over here. And the base is actually quite decent looking. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the base. And her right hand, this is the unfortunate part. Her right hand actually goes into the mat. So it is actually quite high. The hand is longer than the main body. If you were to display this figure without the base, as you can see, the figure will not lie flat on the table. And there will be a lot of stress on her right hand's fingers. So I wouldn't recommend that. I always put this figure into the base and make sure that her right hand is being shoved into this hole over here on the base, right? This is the only way she should be displaying this figure. Otherwise, you might distort her fingers in the long term. So this is a bit unfortunate because I wish that I could come up with my own custom base for this figure, but the finger over there is getting in the way. Maybe I need to improvise things. Now moving on to the conclusion for this review today, can I recommend this figure of Melusine? Well, if you are extremely impatient, you want a figure of Melusine and there is nothing in sight, not for the next 1 year or so, then maybe this is a good alternative to keep your desires satisfied temporarily as you enjoy her crotch region without any pansu on while we wait for the genuine ones by Amakuni and Phat Company. I am really looking forward to the one by Phat Company because of all those giant mecha wings behind her and something like that. I love that. I love details on figures. This one, I would say, if you can, get this figure from a Chinese website like Taobao, because it is going to be marginally cheaper. Like, it is going to save you $5 to $10 compared to an international website selling this figure. They will sell this for $40 or $45, but China, maybe $30+ you can get one. So would you buy this figure of Melusine after watching today's review? This figure is full of flaws, of course, because of this low price point of $30+. But will you still consider one nonetheless? Let me know down in the comments below. And that is all for today's review. If you enjoyed it, please do give this video a thumbs up. Really helps to promote this channel and help us expand. And of course, subscribe to this channel for more figure reviews in the future. Until then, I'll see you guys again very soon. Goodbye.